Hello, everyone. Welcome to our reunion podcast. This is our March 28th, 2021. We have with us Lorianne, my partner, Lorianne Campbell. We have Sheila Sapp, Maggie Perotin, Aaron Cono, and Niti Solomon.
Perfect.
Welcome, everybody.
Thanks for being here. And this is our 1-year anniversary. And I believe this is our 5th monthly get together. So thanks for being here. Awesome. So do we want to go around and introduce ourselves? I know that we did a bit of introductions pre-recording, but why don't we do that? We could start with you, Sheila, as we had you on first there.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Sheila Sapp, and I'm a former educator. I spent many years, and I'm not going to tell you how many, but I spent many years as a teacher, a reading specialist, and a former school administrator. And I retired almost 4 years ago. And I have started a educational consulting business. And I like family, students, working with children. And I consider myself an encourager. And I'm really very pleased to be here. This is my first session, so I'm really pleased to be here today.
Thanks for being here.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. Maggie, you're next.
Great. Congratulations on the anniversary. I didn't know that it's like a full year. That's awesome. That's awesome. So my name is Maggie. I live in Canada near Toronto, and I'm a business and leadership coach. So I help women entrepreneurs grow their businesses, attract paying clients, and not to get overwhelmed or burnt out in the process. So that's I'm very passionate about that aspect. Yeah, that's very good.
Thank you. Aaron, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Cono. I am known as the Master of Cash Flow because I help individuals manage their money because most people do not know how to manage their money. I also help businesses, small businesses, grow their business online when it comes with online marketing. Because if you do not grow your business online, your business will go out of business. And I've helped anyone realize that cash is not king, cash flow is king. So you just need to keep growing your cash flow, or else you will pretty much go out of business, or you will not have any more money. And that's me. Woo.
Thank you. Aaron comes to all of these meeting groups. It's great. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dr. Niti.
Hi. Oh,
Hi. There we go. I do that too.
Hi. So I am a board certified physician and I am an author. I've written a book called Project Love. Love stands for Lifestyle Optimization, Victoriously Established, to influence and inspire people for a healthy lifestyle because I'm a lifestyle expert and strategist.
Well, thank you for being here. We do have DK, but I'm not sure.
Well, yeah.
He looks like an avatar, one of my favorite.
Oh, here he comes.
There we
he
go.
is.
Hey,
DK.
I am here as me. Hello, everyone. Just me.
in your car?
I'm driving. Yeah, just finishing a meeting here. How's everyone?
Really good. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Did you
Thanks
want
for the
to say
invitation.
what you do, DK, really quickly?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I take folks from particularly overstressed professionals or anybody who's overloaded in their personal professional lives, from stressed to more successful with a simple 3-step process that I can teach in just 10 minutes time.
Roy, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Rory Miller, Dallas, Texas. Rory's podcast partner that what do we call it? The accidental podcast?
That started off as the oppositors, believe it or not, because we were going to have opposite views. Then we realized that our views were actually quite similar with just a little bit of a twist different. And then we kind of ran out of topics. So we started having people come on and interview them. So
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah.
And I am Lorianne. I am, yes, also the co-host with Roy. I also have a podcast called Bleak Bulimia, and I'm a bulimia recovery coach. And I incorporate graphotherapy, having my master's in handwriting analysis, into my recovery program. That's it. An author too. And I believe that pretty well almost everyone here is an author. So that's awesome.
I still haven't gotten your book, Lorianne.
I know, you know what? It's sitting here and it's stamped and it's ready to go. And I haven't actually gotten to the post office, but it's all ready. And I did send you one. I don't know why I didn't get to you, because I looked over my list and there was that one that got sent, and it must have gotten lost in the mail, but I did have it because I remember doing them all up. So I apologize for that, but another one's coming out to you. Absolutely. So I know. Love that, eh?
Also, I want to let you know that I've seen a few teenagers during this lockdown time that have eating disorder. One of them was so severe, she lost 75 pounds. She had to be admitted for a couple of weeks at Stanford.
Wow.
So yes, definitely. Thank you for doing what you're doing. It's we should do more about maybe gearing toward younger kids, or young women and teenagers.
I do focus more on the midlife, because that's an area that is not really dealt with. There is a fair amount out there for the young people if you look it up, and there's a lot of help for them. But the older women, 40 plus, tend to hide away, even if they're still struggling with it, some of them for 20, 30 years. So that's why I'm trying to reach out to them, for them to come out and speak to it, or to get help and reach out, because they tend to be feeling more shame because of their age. They think, like, I'm this age and I should be over it by now. And but it's not always that easy. So that's why I chose that group of people, because if you look at it, there's a lot of people out there that don't even know that there's women and men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s struggling with it still.
And I'm
But
sure
the young people, there's a lot of people who know about that. The college is very common. That's where they usually it becomes worse when they go to college for the young people.
Yeah, I'm sure it's worse during this time because of all the stress and how unusual this circumstance is.
How are people feeling about this? You know that it is also the anniversary of when they really put a huge lockdown, like right across the world. Anyone want to speak to how they're feeling? I know I sort of felt weird when the anniversary came around.
Well, I never thought it would last as long, and I'm sick of wearing a mask.
Okay, guys, I have to share this really quickly. There's this guy called Kevin Jackal Johnson, and he is trying to go for mayor of Calgary, Canada right now. And his whole plight right now is going from store to store without a mask, videotaping it. No joke, he's really crazy, he's nuts. But he feels that there's a big propaganda. And he did prove the fact that most masks are not really a help. And if you read his book, you'll figure out why. But he was arrested the other day in Dawson Creek, which is just up by Alaska. Cops came and took him away. I'm sorry, I laugh because he's such a nut. Look him up. It's like crazy. And like he's a friend of mine. Roy knows, because I would call him Crazy Kevin. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. The things he's done in his life, I just go, oh, Kevin, not this again. He's got guts. So.
I just wanted to share that I just couldn't believe how quickly the time went by. Now I'm sick of it. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I sit back and there are just a lot of things that, sometimes you think when you're used to getting your nails done or the pedicures, or you're used to running into stores and window shopping whenever you felt like it. I've come to realize that there are a lot of things that when you have to, you can do without. And I've started looking for simple joy and pleasure out of just everyday things. I now have some squirrels that I call my grandbabies that I feed. Keep ears of corn, and I feed them every day. And I don't know. I just find that I'm more appreciative of everyday life. I'm spending more time reading my Bible, trying to grow spiritually stronger. And I have picked up some technical skills. I know how to use Facebook, and I've been on a few podcasts and so forth. So I guess I'm saying that in spite of the pandemic, it's been a year of growth for me personally and as well as professionally.
I think that says a lot. I know, Aaron, you really have turned things around over the year. I mean, I think that we met somewhere in July, and look what you've done.
Yeah, yeah, there's been changes for me for sure. And one benefit for the COVID that I've noticed is the how fast companies and people are changing when they need to change. Because people like to put stuff off. They're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And when you say you're gonna do it tomorrow, that's another term for, I'm not gonna flip and do it, you know? So, and when it comes, if the business did not want to go out of business, they had to change, you know? And a lot of people now are starting to use their phones to pay instead of actual cash because people are scared of all the diseases on the cash, even though like I forgot what the percent is, but it's over 90% of dollar bills, at least US dollar bills, I don't know how it is in Canada, has some sort of cocaine on them, you know. So I forgot what the percentage, but it's a very high percent.
Really?
And the dollar bills
Yeah.
are just
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah, that's been known for a long time. Yeah.
obviously Lori did
Coming
not
to
know
Canada.
that.
Maggie, did you know that?
No,
See?
maybe it's just us Canadians, you know. I don't know much about dollar bill.
30
Y'all have
cents.
been missing out all this time.
Yeah.
So, Roy, we might be your attic, but you guys are our basement. We don't go.
Yeah. No, I mean that's been known for a long time, you know, because it's all the drugs money and stuff. And so as a matter of fact, at one time they were thinking about using a way to disperse viruses or anything through the money system because it touches so many hands so fast.
Makes sense. Well, we've got loonies, right? So we don't have paper, it's coins. So our loonies and toonies.
Yeah.
DK, how about you being in the stress business? How has that been for you? Can you hear me?
I would say it brings me a lot of opportunity because everyone's got stress on the mind now, whereas they didn't before, right? I think before people would just suppress that a lot more, or either they just would admit it, or they would say, I'm strong enough to manage and handle whatever stress I end up experiencing. But I think folks are really realizing now that it's too much, right? Or it can quickly become too much, especially when you got something major like this. And then the other thing, I'm really glad I joined the call today because I never knew until just now why using cash felt so good.
I have another question too, though, because I know, believe it or not, I actually went through therapy because I thought, wow, I've got time now and it's time for me to catch up on all the years that I didn't do it. But you find, though, that over time, like in the past year, that people are getting better because they've been getting help. Yeah. He's shaking his head. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
my signal's been going in and out here, so yeah. Oh, there we go. We're popping back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think folks are much more readily able and willing to reach out for support nowadays definitely than it was a year ago when everyone was just they either went from total denial to total shock. And I think now folks are realizing the needle has changed, right? So now I think folks are willing to reach out a lot faster than they were before.
Absolutely.
But you know, I know 3 people that literally have not been out of their house since this time last year. They're still not out of their house. They go nowhere. Their kids bring them food or whatever they have to have. They're afraid to go out. I can't imagine.
Yeah, that must be tough. I can't imagine.
Do they have a card?
Yeah, they
Does it
they're
start
afraid to
now?
go out. They're just afraid to go out, afraid they're going to get COVID. I
But
mean,
does it start? Does their car start now after a year? Like,
I have no idea. You know,
Probably not.
maybe their kids start them for them. I don't know, but I mean, they are just literally afraid to go outside.
There's one person I saw on social media that she had lupus and she would not leave the house. Yet people brought the food for her and she got COVID.
oh, geez.
Never left
Oh,
the
wow.
And never left the house.
never left the house.
My daughter was telling me a really sad story about one of her friend's brothers. Very much an introvert, stayed home, didn't really go anywhere, but one of his roommates ended up having a party. And from there, he was only in his 20s and he contracted COVID and passed away from it. And here's like, yeah, he really had nothing to do with it, being an introvert.
Mhm.
So you just never know. I think that's one of the first stories I know. My daughter knows his sister. There's not a lot of people directly that I know of that have had COVID or passed away, but there's the very odd story. I think that's only the second one that I can say that I know somebody who knew somebody.
Mhm.
But whenever I guess you
Well,
start to think,
In my immediate circle, I've had I know people who had COVID, but all of them got through it. So like with, they had different symptoms, some more serious than others, but ultimately they all got through it.
so what's the prediction? Who thinks that by September we're going to be in a better stead, or is it going to be another year before this goes through?
You know what? I was hoping that it would I was expecting it to be at least till this spring. So I was, kind of prepared mentally. And I thought like, oh, maybe in the summer I had this hope I could see my family. So that's probably the worst part. There's a lot of benefits and I've benefited a lot from COVID. But the only part that I guess it's hard on me is our families, both my husband and I are in Europe. And we haven't seen them for a year and a half. And we had the plans in the summer to visit. My dad is turning 70 and so on. And, I'm losing hope that will happen. So I'm thinking probably again, another year, maybe, if we get lucky, beginning of 2022, but I'm losing my hope that we'll be out of it by fall. Yeah.
Aaron, you were going like this. What do you figure?
Yeah, because I know back when it all started, I was gonna say back in the day, but it was a year ago when it started. There was a lot of people that said I heard things that, oh, September it'll be done, November it'll be done, blah blah blah. But I know, I didn't know personally myself, but I know with me and my wife, we didn't have any plans to do anything crazy for this summer at all. We said we're probably not going to go on vacation next summer, and I'm like, probably not. We might go to somewhere small, but that's about it. And then same with next summer. More than likely, next summer we're probably not going to go on vacation. I know that the other day we went to a zoo up in Green Bay. That is a larger city, so she was a little more lenient of going to zoos versus indoor buildings and stuff because they're outdoors. That's what she told me. But another thing she told me is a big area that is not populated high, but that is high for vacations here is Wisconsin Dells that we normally go to. We normally go there a couple times a year because the water parks there are awesome. But because last year there was 2 or 3 cases in a water park called Noah's Ark in Wisconsin Dells. That's a really popular water park down there. And we normally go there 2 or 3 times a year, but because of those, we're probably not going to go this year, and we might not go next year. I'm not really freaking out about it though. I know I like to go places, but with me personally, my opinion is people need to calm down their minds and stop whining that they're not going on vacation. Stop whining that they can't go here. Stop whining they can't go there, and appreciate what you have. Now, I'm not saying to stay in your house because I can't stand staying in my house. You know, if I could take this laptop outside, I would, but the signal is horrible, you know. But every single day I spend some time outside, you know, whether it's 5-10 minutes if it's raining, or it could, if it's a nice day, it could be like an hour to an hour and a half. You know, I go outside somehow in some way. People who just stay inside, they need to step out, man, and get some air, you know, and calm down their brains a little bit.
Aaron, I vote for you.
100%.
I wanted to say, you know, I agree. Well, like Maggie, I think we're still headed for some time. And I may say something that maybe may not go over, may not be that popular, but I think part of it is a mindset that I feel, as a country, are so used to being able to have that freedom to do whatever we want to do, when we want to do it, and how we want to do it, that now we have this pandemic and we have been asked to follow certain instructions and so forth. And there are still people who want to do as they want to do. And I feel for these people who feel so privileged and they're whining, and I think that they really don't care about other people, their fellow man. They're more focused on their wants and desires. I think that we're going to have this problem. We have to learn how to really have a heart for other people. And, you know, even if you believed it was a hoax, have enough humanity to wear a mask anyway to protect other people from how you feel about it. I mean, that's what I think. So as long as people have that mindset, and some of them are like, you know, they're whining and complaining because they can't do this and they can't do that, then we're going to be in this boat even longer.
I think you're right too. And just wearing the mask is just to keep other people at peace. Even if you don't believe in it, at least you're not freaking other people out around you. Like it's just respect other people. I can't have a mask on for too long. So when I go shopping, I run up and down the aisles. And it's like, whoa, cough after I get in my car. But yeah, but I wear it.
Well, you know, like Aaron was talking about vacation, you know, we didn't take one last summer because of the pandemic, because everything was shut down. And then this summer is our 50th anniversary, and we were planning on going to England, Ireland, and Scotland, but you know, we can't do that now. You know, so I'm kind of like Maggie, you know, I wanted to go, but you know, it's just we can't do it. Yeah, so we're gonna do something. We're gonna probably go up to Mount Rushmore. Or, you know, as we can just gonna drive. We're not gonna fly. We're gonna rent a car and drive. You know, so yeah, it's you know, we're gonna have a vacation. It's not what we wanted, but we're still gonna be able to, you know, do it. So
it's going to be interesting when everything opens up again, though. Like I wonder. I mean, is it going to go opposite? Like, are the scales going to just like tip?
And people would just like
Woo!
rush. Yay!
Well,
We're free, go.
I can tell you, you know, the governor opened up Texas a couple of weeks ago. Texas is wide open. You know, now the businesses have the authority, or they can ask you to wear a mask. Okay, but yesterday we had to go up to my grandson's soccer game. It's it's about an hour up from where we live. The traffic was horrendous.
Oh.
It looked like rush hour on Friday evening. I mean, people are getting out. I mean, they're everywhere. So here in Texas, I mean, they're getting out.
Wow.
So
Hi, Vanessa.
hey,
Nice
Vanessa,
to see you.
Hello.
how are you?
Doing pretty good. Not sure if you can hear the sound in the background, so I put headphones in. But
Oh,
yeah, doing pretty good. Yes.
You want to tell everybody what you do?
Oh yeah, touche. Hi everyone. I'm a business coach, speaker, best-selling author, and I focus on coaching and consulting 9-to-5ers on growing their profit-producing, purpose-driven business, even while employed. And so helping them to fix their hustle and work efficiently and effectively in all areas of business so they can take care of business and take care of themselves. That's me.
And you hold them accountable.
I do indeed. Yes, that's another big part of the role. You know, business 20% strategy, as you guys know, 80% mindset. So yeah.
I love it. Yeah, so we were just chatting about the fact that it's been pretty well just a year since we all closed down our doors and did all sorts of different things. And I know it really changed my life. So.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I was already virtual. So I guess I didn't have any doors, physical doors. I just had like, more online doors. I was working my day job at the time. So for me, it was more so a less time commuting, more time on the business. So it was, I for one, I will admit, I was one of the.
Yeah, you're an engineer also, aren't you, Vanessa?
You said I'm what?
An engineer?
Yeah, so my training is in my education training is in engineering. Yeah. / my way of thinking is in engineering. That makes sense. But I didn't work with engineers. But yes. So yeah, that's me. Always been a math and science person, but yeah.
That's interesting. My daughter and I, we were talking about math and science, and I said I took, calculus and algebra and statistics, and I'll say statistics I still use, but the other stuff I don't. And I found the other day, probably about a month or 2 months ago, I did some sort of, I don't know, fractions and stuff. And I said, you know what? I looked at it and I couldn't understand what the heck I was doing at the time. And it was only a couple of months ago, but she said that you do notice that people have mathematical minds and have gone into, done math. She says they're quite often a lot more astute when it comes to finances. I'm not going to say that's everybody, but she said people who are interested in that. And I thought that's interesting. I said, yeah, I never really put the 2 and 2 together, but math is, regardless if we sit there and go, I'm not going to use it for the rest of my life. You do. You actually do.
Every day.
Indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I did consider accounting back when I was a child. Then I said it's too boring, so I decided not to do it. So, no offense to any accountants out here who might be here in this room.
I'd have to agree with that choice. That's a good choice.
I actually did do accounting for about 10 years. I was doing it for my ex-husband, and then I did it for a company. And it's all in how you look at it. I mean, I didn't mind it because it was sort of, entering the numbers, but at the very end of entering the numbers was the fun part, is looking at the trends and looking at where you have to work at. So there's
the storytelling.
The strategy of it all is the fun part at the end of it that a lot of people don't see. They just go, ooh, numbers, but it's a little more than that. It's more fun than they think. Mm-hmm. Guess it depends on your mindset, right? How you look at it.
Yeah. Indeed it does.
That'd be 100% true. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I only knew it from a tax perspective way back when I was considering this job. The people who do the taxes, people's things. And I was like, they don't tell stories, no. Yes, unless it relates to a legal jurisdiction code or something, I don't know. But otherwise.
I was going to say that. What are we doing? We're doing some, what do they call it? Creative accounting.
Yes.
There is such a thing as creative accounting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very helpful in business. Mm-hmm.
It can be.
Absolutely, right?
When done legally.
They say that every balance sheet has a story inside.
It does.
So what else? Does anybody have anything else that they want to bring up that's new in their life that they've done in the last few months? Any news? Really?
Well, what?
Oh no, Aaron.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go.
Okay. I'll just say this because I've been getting, I don't know if any of you guys seen it, probably not, or else I swear Lorianne would have said something to me if she would have seen it. But is there anyone here that's never heard of Grant Cardone? Okay.
I've heard of him. I heard of him 2019, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know last year I went to his little seminar thing, a 3-month thing, or not 3 month, 3 day, a 3 day thing last year. And there was thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And because of Corona, he did his thing where like he has all of the monitors out, and there was only like 5 or 10 people that were actually there that had to pay like over 12 grand to actually go there, you know. Everyone else either paid 100, 300, 450, or 1200, I think the other prices were with all the different packages. Obviously I did a smaller one because I didn't need all the extra little stuff, you know. I only did the $250 one. But I was really surprised because he called my name like instantly on the first day. He asked me what he said my name, and he actually talked to me. And I swear, like I should have had a pair of Depends on or something. I almost crapped my pants, and I was so nervous of talking to him, you know, because I had no clue what to say, like at all. And there was thousands and thousands of people there. I'm like, why did he call my name? It might have been the background, and might have been the hat. I have no clue, because he sells these hats that say cash flow on them. They just have his initials on the side and his domain on the other side, you know. And I don't do that. Nothing against him. I don't want people to go to his domain. But anywho, long story short, because of that, he's doing another one, which I'm going to in this month. And because he talked to me, I was on a lot of his sponsored ads, either my face or me talking. And I was getting messages left and right from friends of screenshots and videos of them. Oh, Aaron, did you see this? I'm like, yeah, I did. I've been seeing it left and right, because now it's like completely in my phone to show me every single ad that he does and stuff. But yeah, it was really cool that I seen that, you know. And I know it's on YouTube, and I'm probably going to use a clip of that and have that be like an intro, and then another clip as an outro on a video. I just have to finish the video, which I didn't have time to do today. So, but yeah, I just thought it was cool because I was really surprised with that. And when I go again, obviously I'll wear the same stuff as I normally always wear, but instead of the $1 million background, I'm going to use my $100 background that has a bunch of $100 bills all over the place, you know. I'm gonna use that background instead. And if he calls my name, he calls my name. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I have no clue. But yeah, I thought that was really cool that I'm getting on a lot of these ads, even though I'm not like getting much traffic with it, but I'm getting a lot of views. So like someone might say, oh, you were blah 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 and blah blah blah, you know. I'm like, neato.
Or
So,
you can tell them when you create the video.
yeah. But yeah, that was
so
something.
cool.
Yeah.
And that's great too for all of your, like for your own purposes of using that for your ads and your promotions and everything. Look who I spoke to. That's what everybody does. I mean, you know, when they're with Les Brown or they're with this person and the other one, and, you know, you've got Forbes Riley now and you've got Grant Cardone, and, you know, just keep adding to it. That's awesome.
Yep, it is.
Growing.
Right.
I have a question to ask all of you, because it seems like, well, I know that you have more experience than I have with social media and podcasts and so forth. And I didn't realize until recently, I guess this past year with the pandemic, that there were so many online like podcasts and this program and that coach and this mentor. You can almost sign up for a coach on anything. And that's one of the things that I'm finding about my business. I've just started an educational consulting business, and they're like a penny a piece. I mean, it is like, well, how do I even compare? So I just wanted to know, were all of these businesses always out there, or did they spring up and become even more plentiful because of the pandemic?
That's probably a yes and no question.
It is. It's a little of both.
Yeah.
Now, podcast, just to let you know, is really interesting. I know that we get some of our guests off Podmat, and they will not let you go on there until you've had your podcast up for 90 days. The reason is 80% of podcasts will crash after 3 months. They stop, whether it's burnout or whatever the case. So in order to weed that out and not have a bunch of, like in YouTube, you've got tons of plays, and then you look at it and go, ooh, 2007, they haven't been doing anything since then. So to disallow for that, that's how they do it. So that people don't look for a match for a podcast and then they're defunct. So, but yeah, so as far as podcasts go, you're going to see a lot of them probably perked up because of the COVID, but there's also a really high dropout rate on that one as well. So as far as coaches go, someone else might have opinions on that one.
Well, you're just gonna have to find your little niche, your little part in there that nobody else is doing, or if a few people doing it, you've got to do it better.
Yeah, coaches have been around forever and ever and ever. I think since the 80s, 90s, before then, and this digital world just made them more accessible, I guess you could say, so to speak. And so, but the same thing, that Rory was mentioning about podcasts, like there are also a lot of coaches, that also sort of go out of business, quote unquote. And so it's like, get a certificate and then they like leave. And then, so it's not leave, but then they realize, oh, this is actual business. Oh, wait, I just want to help people. I don't want to like do this business. Like, what is this? Marketing, sales, what? And so a lot of coaches who are more in the certified realm, they end up, dropping out, but it's kind of like a degree for them, pretty much what they did. They kind of did like a degree, pretty much what it is. Then you have other people who are coaches who are just looking to share knowledge with people, kind of be like mentors, but get paid for it. It's a varying space, but yeah, but there are millions and millions and millions. Yeah.
I think Vanessa, you're right too there, because there's a lot of them go, well, I'm going to get into coaching because it's really easy. I have a friend who was saying that. He goes, yeah, I'm going to do it for people my age. He's in his later 60s on nutrition. I'm going, there's a mile, like thousands of people out there that are doing that. Can you find a better niche? But then it's also because that's easy, but it's not easy.
Nope, it's not.
A lot of work.
It's not. Summer 2019, I remember I had a conversation with someone. She's a financial advisor, and I was talking with her. It was like an info chat, and I was like, oh yeah, I coach people in business. And she was like, yeah, coaching's not a real business. And I was like,
oh.
He's like, no, you need like an actual business in order to like feel like it was very, 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 she's like, you're not gonna make it. It's just a whole situation. Anyway, I never talked to her ever again, but yeah, there are people who essentially do believe that it's like easy. And I'm like, this is probably the hardest of businesses because it's like a personal thing, right? It's not just oh, I want this car, let me get this car. It's like, do you even know about coaching? What is coaching? It's like a whole situation. But anyways, yeah, no, that's there.
Definitely. My thought and question is it that we're more aware of all the coaches that are out there now? Were they always there? Or are there actually a lot of folks that are converting their brick and mortar stuff to coaching and online? And now you just have a lot more crowding in the online space.
I think personally, there's definitely more coaches because, when, let's say Tony Robbins started, and he's a life coach, but that's kind of where it started, right? That with him and kind of growing, and that industry never existed, the life coaching. So life coaching is that blue ocean strategy that it was never there. And then there was a need, and those people who in the beginning came up, like Tony Robbins, Mary Forleo, and there's others, right, who are very big now. But that created the demand also in business because people, people who have that love for helping others, it's a great career. And now there is more awareness, but with that, the market is getting saturated because, there's this, I love helping people. As Vanessa said, it's easy for me. So, but there's also the part of business that you need to have and grow. But I think with online, Sheila, with the businesses, there's definitely more like COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs or, had to pivot because of things. So definitely there is growth in the online space, and in a way, the entry barriers are smaller. So there's low entry barrier to have an online business, but that creates a lot of competition. So it also creates that need for consistency and so on. So it's easier to start a business, but it's much harder to actually remain in business and be successful because competition is greater. But as Vanessa said, like I do agree, a lot of it is mindset and consistency and just getting there, strategic and not giving up, right? And not everybody has that, or not everybody understands that and even gets support to do that.
Well, one of the things that I believe I did share this with Lori and Roy, is that, I'm a baby boomer, and all of this is relatively new for me. So I've had to, when the pandemic hit, it was like I had to take a crash course in looking at YouTube tutorials and bugging my daughter to death. And when she got tired of it, she's the one who said, well, you need to look at YouTube. And I found out you could pretty much, or either Google and find out anything. But I do want to say that you do that, but then to me, there's a part where you need to know how to really connect with people. And with me and my job as an administrator, I was really strong in that area, person to person. I just knew how to connect not only with the teachers, but parents and students. And so for me right now, that's what I'm working on, getting people to connect with me and my personality via, Zoom and so forth. And I think that's one of the things that you probably need. And, some people are really very good at it. And that's something that I'm still working on.
Well, Sheila, one thing about coaching, having a coach, like say somebody was coaching you, it cuts the learning curve down. Because I mean, how much time have you spent on YouTube videos? How much time have you spent on research? And you might have been able to hire a coach that said, do this, Sheila, do this, do this. And say you spent 6 months of research and all this stuff, and they could have in a month had you where you needed to be. So I mean, coaching cost, but then again, it pays.
I definitely agree. It saves you a lot of time, frustration, and money ultimately, really. But I agree with you, Sheila. That's what it is. How you attract your clients is by being you and connecting with them. It doesn't matter that there's a lot of others maybe doing the same, what we're all doing in our own respective niches, but we're all different. The way we see things, explain things are different. So we attract people who really resonate with that, right? What I may seem one way, Vanessa will say the other way, and we'll attract different people just because of that. So, it's that any business can be successful as long as you're consistent, you have the strategy, you kind of adapt with the times, and it doesn't matter that others don't work out or, others are so. Our coaching does help.
Yeah. And I tell my clients there are 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion people.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And we are all connected, or most of us, So that's the online gives us that space where we have really unlimited ability to connect with potential clients.
Yeah, and you probably have an established network from all your career work. So, you've got a network there. You might just need to help tap into that network a little bit.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I just wanted to just quickly say, I know that Mel Mason said that she was going to be trying to be here, but I thought that we would just mention, we really appreciate everybody who's been on our podcast. We have 117 episodes. We reached 100 about 2-3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And but we want to put out a shout out to Mel. Mel has the highest listeners and downloads on there. So just sadly she didn't make it, but we wanted to just say a congratulations for after the year. she kind of wins the least listeners award for our podcast. But yeah, without you guys, we wouldn't have reached those numbers. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate everybody coming on the Sunday. You know, we're starting to finally get regular people that come, and then we're also getting additional people. So we're really happy about that, and we thank y'all for taking the time out to come and visit. Well, it's about the top of the hour, Lorianne. So I guess, does anybody have any final thoughts before we go?
Or final announcements of anything, any news?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to again wish you a happy anniversary with your podcast.
Thank you.
And thank you for the opportunity to be on it.
Thank you.
We're happy to have everyone here that was on there.
Yeah. Thanks for the time, guys. And you have a fantastic month, because it'll be, again, remember, the last Sunday of every month at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
Take care.
Makes it easy to
Thank you,
remember. Thanks
everybody.
so
It
much
was
for the
great meeting
opportunity.
you.
All right. It's good to see everybody.
Bye.
Hope we see you next month. Bye.